I'm doing fantastic. All right,
Good.
here's one for today. Have you ever done one of those Ancestry.com where you give you your ethnic makeup? Have you done one of
Oh,
those?
not yet, but I really want to.
Oh my goodness, why?
I
Why
was
would
ju-
you
oh
ever
my
do
God,
that?
What a coincidence. My husband and I were just talking about this, that we want to do.
Why? For what freaking purpose?
Why do I want to do
Yes.
it? Because it's interesting.
What's interesting?
Well, first of all, how many times have you been in a situation where you're talking about your background and you're like, oh, I'm part Irish, I'm part German, I'm part French, whatever. And then you're like, but am I? Like, I've always heard, oh, I'm Irish and German, or I have like a smidgen of Cherokee or whatever. And I keep hearing these things. So I'm like, let's know. What am I exactly? What percentage? And it's a great conversation
What
thing.
potential benefit could you ever get out of that information?
One, it's interesting.
It's not interesting, but go ahead.
It's not interesting because you say it's not interesting.
No, here's what you do. You go to your grandparents and you say, "What are you?" Right?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, "Oh, we came from Italy. We came from," and that's all you need to know. The closest to you or the strongest part of your blood, that's what you are.
What if you can't
It's
ask
free.
your grandparents?
It's freaking free. Then you wasted time. You had a chance and you didn't ask.
What if someone was adopted and they didn't know?
Well, who cares then? You can make up your own future.
Make up your own.
So-
you can be whatever you want to be.
So there's a news story where there's a company, an investment brokerage company, bought Ancestry.com for like $4 billion. Okay.
Okay.
The company's revenue is about $1 billion per year. They have a ton of customers all over the world who pay tons of money to know such useless information. Right?
Now, how much does a person pay to do that?
How much do they cost?
Yeah.
Well, if they have 1 million customers and they do 1 billion a year, it's like $100.
But I was going to say for a person doing it, if I were to do it, like, is it super expensive that it's going to, be a huge deal to me financially?
Or it's $100. Save the $100 and go buy a new iPhone or eat better food or do things that actually have a good impact. So here's the second part of the story.
Okay.
Technology in the future, right? Mm-hmm. So when you give your genetic information to a company, it becomes theirs, right? And so then they can take the results of your genetic makeup and sell it to other people to use your genetics to test things. So some of the bioweapons that they're formulating now is if I take like sarin gas or mustard gas, it kills all people, right?
Uh-huh.
But if I took your genetics and I knew your genetics, I could formulate a biological weapon that would just kill you. So I could drop my gas on a whole area, right? Nobody would be affected but you. So smart weapons, right? So when you're giving, if you were told right now that Ancestry.com will own your genetics and they can sell it to whoever, does that change your mind at all?
That they're legally allowed to sell it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives
That's
me...
a deal breaker?
It gives me cause for concern, and maybe I might pause and think about this a little more. Are you sure they're allowed to do that?
100%. It's not yours anymore. Us as consumers, we give up so much free information to people because we just click the button that says accept and you have no idea what you agreed to. So you're on the hook for shit that you didn't even know. How do
you know your doctor's office isn't doing this? You give blood, right? You've had medical procedures done. How do you know there's not someone in the office
there's going to be a value in that one day as well. But consumers don't protect their own stuff. We give our email accounts away. We give our information about our history. Like there is shit on us, including biological material now that other people have. And they're sitting back thinking, how could we make use of Kellen's total profile of where she came from? She just thought it would be nice to know where she came from, right? And now they create a toxin that just kills you.
Why are you going to do this to me?
I'm glad I caught you before you made the critical mistake.
Like I need more things to worry about. What about those tests? Have you ever seen where people, what is it? There's a commercial for different products. It's not like you're finding out your ancestry, but it's if you have like a medical issue, a stomach issue, and you send your sample of whatever to a company, and then they test what either food allergy you might have or insensitivity to something or whatever. Have you seen those?
Everything is sellable. Everything.
Oh.
And I guess probably the number one economy right now is data sales, right? What Facebook and YouTube and all of the big companies that you give all that information, they're making more money selling your information to other people, right, than they're making directly from you. And we so willing. I want to start a movement, right?
Yeah.
Where if you want to use my shit, you're going to pay me for it, right? You want to give my phone
Yeah.
number, that'll be a quarter. You want to knock on my front door, right? I have $1 opening the door fee. And just get in the same business of consumers actually making money off of their own shit rather than giving it away to everybody else freely to sell.
Yeah, and could that be based on how valuable you are on certain criteria? You know, like if you're like Joe Schmo, nobody knows you, you don't do anything, you sit in your house all day. All right, I'll pay you $5 for this. But if you're like, hey, I'm in the public eye and I know people and I'm a mover and a shaker in the community, nope, now you're going to pay more for my stuff. Oh my God, why aren't we doing this?
That's what I'm saying. Like, because when you said it's interesting and it's something that you want to do, that is how it's been marketed to you, where it's not even a critical expense. It's not necessary. This is a superfluous expense that actually buys nothing. But somewhere down the road, they taught culture that knowing something about your ethnicity is somehow fun.
But it is fun. It's fun. It's one of those things you pay for an experience. Have you ever paid for an experience? You're not getting anything tangible. You're not taking anything with you. It's probably not even going to matter in so many weeks, months, or years, but it was fun at the time.
Human
and that
beings
was
have
interesting.
bad ideas all the time. Yeah. Yeah. But you have to explain to me like what value this is going to carry after the fact. Like we do things sometimes and it gives me enjoyment for a half hour. Great. I watched a dumb show. It made me laugh. I felt good for a half hour after I laughed. You can explain that to me like good purchase. I didn't give anything up.
I mean, have you ever kept documentations of things over the years or, you know, grandparents pass things down to their grandkids and great grandkids?
Sure.
Anything from like, I've seen, you know, not only pictures, I've seen like locks of hair when you have the baby's first haircut and that gets passed down. And
that's free.
This is
that's
my
free.
great.
You do it as a hobby. You put that stuff together and you organize it. And it's
I
free. And
mean, it's not free if you pay someone to put it together. It's not free
Who
if
needs
like,
that? Listen,
what if you take a VHS tape and you like put it on
do
a
it yourself.
digital?
Make the enjoyment something you earn. How do you know that people aren't like making your scrapbook, aren't taking your pictures and selling it to websites?
You don't.
Trust nobody. Nobody's doing the right thing. So don't give it to anybody. Do it yourself.
Okay, if I don't know how to transfer something to a different format, I don't know how to figure out what my ancestry is on my own. I mean, there are so many things and services we have because people can't do it themselves. This
Right.
is another one.
Yeah. And I told you, people are getting stupid. Remember the idiocracy thing? The more we outsource things that we could know ourselves, right? The stupider we get, and then we end up totally beholden to people who are selling our information. That's the root of the problem, not an excuse for the problem.
Yeah, we're going to become too trusting on other people.
Yeah, not even so trusting. Just become more capable. Just have fun within the realm that you could ride your own horse. Like, don't go outside, and if you're not good at a horse, get someone else to ride it for you.
But then, I mean, I feel like this leaves the door open to be afraid of so many things then. I mean,
You
there's
should
so
be.
many. What if you lick a stamp and the mailman steals your DNA?
Totally could. So get the
New fear unlocked.
Get this self-adhesive. See, I got an answer for everything.
God. But your fingerprints are on everything.
Yeah, if you're ever sitting with a cop and they offer you a drink, don't take it because they're just going to take your fingerprints off of it.
Do you often get offered drinks by police officers?
I know better. I know better. Started off with, don't even offer me some refreshments because I'm not, even if I am thirsty, you're
I'm
not getting my
taking
fingerprints. No way.
And probably saliva sample. And oh my God, they could frame
we're doing
you.
both. Either you're self-sufficient and you don't have to trust people outside of the people that you can trust, or you are totally giving everything to everybody else and then giving up, being totally outraged when they use that stuff that you gave them against you. And back even when you had pictures developed, how many creepy dudes were sitting back at the machine thumbing through the little mirror bathroom pictures, right? You know it happened.
back when you had to take your film to be developed. Have you always been paranoid?
No, just this is just data, and it only can happen so many times before you change your methods of behavior. So if we used to have usernames and passwords, just have really awesome usernames and passwords. Then every company that you ever dealt with had data breaches, and your shit got leaked to people who were then using that to make phone calls to you, right?
But what if we look at this as a positive? Let's say somebody gets your information, somebody gets your DNA or whatever.
Yeah.
Now you have a backup system. If God forbid something terrible happens to you, or you're injured, you need something, and they're like, aha, we can use this to help her. We've got her DNA, we've got her sample of whatever that we can now use to save her or to heal her.
Here's my answer to that. I want you to take a cotton swab, put it underneath your tongue, put it in a Ziploc bag, and put it in the freezer. You can help yourself. Label it my DNA if I'm ever lost.
Open in the event that I am dying.
There you go. Much cheaper, right?
Break glass.
It's almost like you want to put yourself in peril, right? You want to do the thing.
Apparently.
Yeah. Non-essential, super expensive, other means of getting the information. But let's just give my $100 so they can clone me somewhere in Uganda. And then you run across yourself like, where'd you come from? Ancestry.com, bitch.
So really then you've got to collect your own samples of everything.
Do everything you can
Put
do.
it in a safe somewhere
Yep.
in case of emergency. And then after that, never give a sample to another soul again.
What it forces you to do is deal with trust on people that you can see face to face and who know you and are your friends, right? Being able to trust strangers to hold themselves to some kind of moral standard is not a wise thing. So if you've got a guy in your neighborhood and you could talk to him and you trust him, it brings us more local and dealing with people who we can have conversations with. We're just too, how many times do you hit that user agreement and you know the bad things that can happen, and you're just like, I hope that goes well.
But now, you're just assuming that these Ancestry.com people or whatever company are out to get you or automatically malicious. What if they are like, you know what? We love history. We love people learning about their family and their genealogy, and we want to help with that. And, we've got a way to do it. And
Then they would rewrite their agreement that doesn't say we own your shit. There's a reason why they say they could become, the owner of that genetic material. If they would say, hey, you know what? Just like there's a company, PricewaterhouseCoopers, right? And so they would do an analysis on, so for instance, if I had a cloud backup company, and the cloud backup said, you're going to be sending all of your data to our servers. It's going to be entirely encrypted. We can't even see the things that are on the other side. So if we wanted to go through it, we couldn't even do it. And then PricewaterhouseCoopers analyzes it, and they try to get stuff on the other side of the backup, and they say, yep, these guys are good. So you had an objective observer to make sure what they promised was true. So if Ancestry said, hey, once your genetic material, we take your test, we mail it back to you, we throw it in an incinerator, and it's gone forever, we don't take use of it. And PricewaterhouseCoopers comes along and say, yep, that's exactly what they do. They're good. That's the way you handle it, and that's the way you could be trusted.
How do you trust them? How do you know they're not in on it together and they're really not incinerating it?
Well, if that's their only line of work, is that they vouch for systems are being followed, and you have one person that says, bullshit, their business is gone. It would not be worth it. But this way sucks. Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to really think about if I want to do this, because I'll be honest, I don't 100% not want to do it, but I am concerned now. And paranoid.
Well, let's go through the likelihood. I picked absurd things. I put cloning you and using biological warfare against you.
Yeah.
But what on a marketability, if I had a pool of people's genetics, right? What could I do with that could make me a lot of money? What would be my first strike at that? I would take health anomalies, and I would pick out people who have some kind of, ailment of some kind. And I would sell that information to pharmaceuticals and doctors so they could prospect into that, sell for a couple $100 million, and doctors would go all day because those are potential customers. That would be level one. See if you can name one.
Other than that, oh, God. Not like they're going to try to kill me or harm me, and you've already picked sell to the medical field.
Research field. People who study genetics, you can send them samples of things if they're studying certain people. Like a university says we want to study redheads and what makes them crazy.
Yeah.
They could take a bunch of genetics.
See, listen, all of this sounds like positive things. Again, they could do something with it that will help you or mankind.
You paid them for their product that they're going to sell. It would be another thing in saying, hey, we're going to use your genetic material and sell it to universities, and we're going to give you a $50 stipend every time yours goes out.
But listen, okay, so do you know what Rogam is? There's a drug called Rogam that I had to get when I was having babies because of my blood type. It's basically your Rh factor. It's a whole long thing, and we can get into it later. But I had to have this drug, Rogam, based off of things that they have learned over people who have this blood type and how it affects the body and how pregnancy affects the body and all these different things that they've learned from this. Did I not pay the doctor or the hospital for medical treatment to get a drug that helps me based off of my own biology?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing?
No.
It's not.
Here's the difference. Like, you have the Red Cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can give them blood, you make a donation, and then they sell it, and you can look at their books to see that they're a nonprofit. They don't do this as profitability, and so they're not going to be like, pay you for the blood donation. You're going to give it, and then whatever. So if they're a nonprofit, totally different deal. If there's commercial activity that happens after you give somebody something, they are profiting from whatever you gave them, and you're getting nothing in return for what you gave them. So if there was a university and you went and gave your genetic material for some research on a product and they didn't make any money doing it, they did it for the sake of research, I would have no problem with that. But it's a commercialization of, I took your email and I sold it to somebody else and you get nothing. I forced you to give me your email address and I made money because I forced you to.
But what if they still use that in a way that benefited someone? I'm not talking about like it benefited them making money, but I mean, yes, you paid, they profited, but their product also helped someone else. Would it still bug you?
You're looking at like the percentage of a percentage of a percentage.
It's a percentage.
There's a profit incentive on things. And when you're dealing with companies that sole obligation are not to help the world at large, they're there to make money.
Yeah.
So there might be an element that helps, right? But that's not the primary focus of what they do. If you wanted to create an institute was just for the nonprofit version of that, then that I would be okay with that. But that little percentage is not doing a bunch of anything. It's more commercialized, and the donator gets nothing. That's the part that I have a problem with.
So you'd be good with all of it if you got something.
Yeah, the donator, absolutely. You retain ownership. Like if I wrote a song, and then I give it to a record label, and they sell my song and they made money on it, and a piece of whatever they sold rolls down to me versus I make the song, give it to them, they give me or I pay them. I pay them $100 to make the song. They go sell it and make millions. I'm going to be like, what? That's not fair. I do some artwork. Same thing. Anything that came from me that you took, you owe me something for it.
What if Ancestry.com is like, all right, we're going to do what we're going to do. Here's what we do with it. But you know what? We'll go ahead and we'll give you a couple bucks too if you send us your DNA.
It's different model.
You'd be okay with it then?
If they tell you up front that they're going to pay you for it so they can use it elsewhere, then that was completely honest. And then maybe even they have two. They have the ones where you pay them and it gets destroyed, and the ones that they pay you and they can use it in research and all that kind of stuff, and see which one wins. See which one.
But I'm saying they're still going to take your DNA. They're still going to take whatever sample you give them.
Yeah.
But maybe they pay you for it.
Yeah.
But they could still make a drug that kills only you, clone you, right? All that you would be like, oh, but you're paying me, so go ahead.
I wouldn't do it, but I would say from the model standpoint, it's more honest.
Yeah.
Give you a chance.
So it's not the danger of what they could do with it that gets you. It's just the dishonesty.
Taking something that's
listen,
not
if you're going
theirs.
to screw me over, at least tell me you're going to.
Yeah, right. And that's the cautionary tale with consumers is they are so willing to give away things for free to people who are going to sell it and use it for other things.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell me what you're going to do with it, and then I can decide whether or not that $50 for my DNA sample is worth the risk of someone creating a biological weapon against me.
Or how about those AI games? They're all over Facebook now. I've done them, where they take your profile picture and then they put it like on another person, or they make you look different, or different hairstyles. They're super popular right now. And I mean, I did it. I know they are getting my face. They are using it for other things. But you know what? That was a really fun 10 minutes I got out of that.
Yeah.
Those pictures were super fun to make.
There will be a day. It's not to the level where I can show you that nefarious things happen because of it, but there will be a day you're like, I can't believe that I gave them the trove of everything, right, for free, and look how it's being used against me. Because one of my fears with, we'll say, like Twitter, right? So Twitter went through an era where they were, just banning people because they disagreed with what they were saying. It wasn't an open line of, of communication. It wasn't a public square like it would be. And then Elon Musk buys it, and he was like, as long as it's not illegal, it goes. Community notes, up, the challenging to what somebody says, that's the way you get to truth, go. And it's cool, but what happens when Elon Musk isn't there anymore? How do you take the principle of good behavior once everybody's freaking on it, and let's just say he sells it to somebody and like, woo, look what I could do with this now.
Yeah.
Right? How does it survive the good intentions of the person who founded it? It doesn't.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that point, and I'm going to blame you and your Ancestry.com flirting with. But
all my fault.
It's all your fault.
God.
You ruined society. You and every consumer that gives away things for free.
I'm sorry.